In class, we've been reading The Great Gatsby. In the beginning, what do we know about Jay Gatsby? Pause for response. We know he's very wealthy. Overall, we do not know much about him. He's very mysterious. We don't know where he's from, what he does for a living, or how he's earned his fortune. But what else do we know? Pause for response. What about Daisy Buchanan? We do know that she's married to a man named Tom Buchanan, and that we know Nick Carraway, the narrator, is her cousin. We also know that she's cynical and superficial. It's important to her to be wealthy and social. She wants and likes to be known for these things. Before the war, Gatsby courted Daisy along with other men. That was when Gatsby first fell in love with Daisy. However, when Gatsby went away to war, Daisy moved on and got married. Gatsby never got over Daisy. He waited for her. Gatsby continues to try and impress Daisy. Everything that he has accomplished in life has been trying to get her attention and trying to impress her. Only after he tricked Daisy into going to Nick's house, they finally reestablished their relationship. Nick Carraway is the narrator. In the beginning, we know a bit more about Nick than the other characters. He talks more about his background. Although he is the narrator, he is a secondary role. He is included in the action, but not always the main focus or the cause of it. He is included in the action mainly because he lives next door to Gatsby. He is also quiet and observant, and tolerant. He listens to what the other characters say and doesn't give them much feedback. And there's also Jordan Baker. She's Daisy's friend. She's also very self-centered. She doesn't seem to care much about how her actions affect others. She's also restless and careless. She embodies the new attitude and styles of the Roaring Twenties. She is the stereotypical girl from the 1920s. The relationship between Jordan and Nick. In the beginning, they're just having fun. They gossip with each other, which is how Nick gets most of his knowledge about the other characters. Do you believe they're important to the story? Pause for discussion. Besides Nick's contribution as a narrator, how do they change or affect the story? Pause for discussion. What is their purpose? Pause for discussion. They're there for the other characters the main characters to bounce off of. They're our main source of knowledge and background. Think about how other books would be affected without their secondary characters. Without secondary characters, the Harry Potter series would just be Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Voldemort running around. Think about how different the story would be without characters such as Ginny, or Luna, or Neville, or Hagrid. It would change completely. The conflicts would change and the outcomes would be different. And there's the confrontation at the Plaza Hotel, which is where the conflict mostly begins. The conflict that was planned by Tom Buchanan. It's there that Gatsby states, "She never loved you, do you hear? She only married you because I was poor, and she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake. But in her heart, she never loved anyone except for me." Do you believe he's right, or did Daisy truly love them both? It's also here that Daisy learns how Gatsby truly earned his fortune. Was the issue really solved then? And if it was, who finally won? Then, after the confrontation, when they were headed back home, Myrtle Wilson died. Do you believe it was an accident? Now, although Gatsby claims Daisy was driving, can we really be sure? Nick can't be sure who was really responsible for Myrtle's death. He wasn't in the car. He only saw what happened, and then from the outside, and then he goes based off what Gatsby says. So we can't be sure because he can't be sure. So who do you think was actually driving? Pause for discussion. Then, were any of you surprised by Tom's response? Right after his mistress was viciously killed and cut open, he took care of her husband, then ran away with his wife, who could be responsible for her death. Does that show that he didn't care for Myrtle? Or that he did, and he was just so hurt by it? What did that mean? Were any of you shocked? Pause for discussion. Gatsby claims that Daisy was driving, but of course he was going to take the blame. As if his love for her is clear and obvious, and he never thought twice about taking the blame. Should Daisy have stepped up and taken the blame? Would anyone have expected her to? You'd think that if she loved Gatsby as much as she claimed to, then she wouldn't let him take the blame, right? Pause for discussion. Why didn't they swerve, whoever was driving? If it was Daisy, did she really hate Myrtle that much that she wanted to see her dead? And if it was Gatsby, why didn't he swerve? Did he just not have enough time? Did he know that Myrtle's existence hurt Daisy? Why didn't they swerve? Pause for discussion. And then there's the relationship between Gatsby and Daisy at the end. Was Daisy ever really planning on leaving Tom for Gatsby? Pause for discussion. What indicators would you say either way? What did you see that indicated that she would leave Tom? Or what indicators did you see that would indicate that she was going to stay? If Gatsby had not been hurt and been murdered, would he have always loved Daisy? Would he continue to try and win her over? Or would he eventually give up, let her live her life with Tom? Pause for discussion. How do you believe Daisy would have responded to the news of Gatsby's death? She says she loved him, so would she be hurt? Would she come back? Pause for discussion. The relationship between Nick and Jordan finally ends, and Nick is the one to end it. Does Jordan seem to really care? She was engaged not long after. Does that mean their relationship was meaningful? Was it ever meaningful? Pause for discussion. In the beginning, the theme was the American dream. Gatsby was the American dream. He grew up poor and was able to earn his fortune. At the beginning, we thought that's all we knew. But then, in the end, it showed the corruption of the American dream. People were earning fortunes through illegal activity. It also demonstrates the social trends of the 20s, the parties, and the carelessness. Also embodies many of the characters. And the parties could be Gatsby, the carelessness, Jordan. Discussion about Nick Carraway. He says, "I am one of the few honest people that I have ever known." In what ways was he honest or dishonest? Pause for discussion. Discussion about Jay Gatsby. Is Gatsby truly great? Pause for discussion. At any point, was he great? And if he was or wasn't, did that change throughout the book? Do you believe that we should pity Gatsby? He dedicated his adult life to trying to win Daisy over. Then, in the end, she runs away with her husband. He gets killed for what she did. What do you think? Pause for discussion. For your homework, I want you to choose 2 of the discussion questions we talked about, or one that you thought of yourself and one from today. One discussion question should be about Nick Carraway, and I want you to use specific examples from the book, such as times where he was honest or times where he was dishonest. The other question should be about Jay Gatsby. Again, include examples from the book, such as times where he was great and times where he wasn't. I also want you to choose a character that you believe to be the most honorable and why. Discuss your opinions with others in the class. I have posted the due date online. You have the rest of class period to work on it.